Hello, beautiful people. I wanted to dive into the topic of shame today and how the roots of shame can really come from pretty well-intended people. I'm also going to talk about the vibration of shame. And as we become 100% committed to being the light and being our highest consciousness on this planet, or whatever that is for this lifetime for us, where does shame come in, and how do we start to shift that frequency? So I want to take a look at something called the concentric circle model. This is a model that I worked with and learned about in a program called the Path of Ceremonial Arts. Something you might not know about me is that I am a trained priestess and ritualist. And one of the things that I learned in that program is this concentric circle model, and it's brilliant. It's really powerful to take a look at how we process different energies and how we keep the energetics and vibration flowing, and where we have a tendency to get stuck and held in just one circle. So if you've ever heard of the emotional guidance scale by Esther Hicks and Abraham, it's kind of like that. It's a model that helps us to take a look at the vibration of emotions and our feelings. And it's really helpful to take a look at those more denser realities that we start to live. So today we're diving deep so we can rise high together. My vision for this channel is that this is a high vibe tribe where you have a voice and your voice matters. Your wisdom, your vulnerability, your stories matter in the comments. And perhaps by sharing your stories, we can go over to your channel and hear your wisdom too, if you have a channel. So let's just really support each other and being the light on this planet. And by doing so, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at shame today. Shame is a very dense frequency. All right, so if we're working with the concentric circle model, this is just a very simple looking model, but this is the story. This is where all real dense emotions are. This is the psychological ring. This is the spirituality ring. And this is the ring of oneness. Okay, so in this awakening and ascension journey, we hear a lot about going to 5D frequency, right? And that's this. All right, but it doesn't mean that we don't go and play in other rings, because we're human too. But what we're doing with this ascension process is we are embodying and living here more, and we might play down here, but we keep these energies flowing in the different rings. Now, shame is right smack condensed in the middle in this little tiny ball, little tiny circle there. Shame is really part of a dense story. It's a dense vibration. It's a lower frequency. That means the vibration is at a slower rate, okay, than light. So shame doesn't really feel very good in a body that's starting to quickening, right? That's asking for higher consciousness, that wants to expand and awaken, yet we have this contracted space of shame. It doesn't feel good, does it? So whether you are shaming yourself, it's very common. I have that myself. I am a body shamer. And it's really uncomfortable, especially, let's see, I'm in my perimenopausal years, and your body changes and it gains weight and you have no control over it. It's really interesting. So there's a lot of body shame that I'm working with. And so that's interesting. So I'll be playing into that piece, talking about that piece today and where that originated from. So pretty uncomfortable topic, but I'm willing to be vulnerable so that we can rise high together here. So shame, body shaming, shaming, there's just a lot of different ways to be shamed, but I guess I'm going to focus on body shame today. Where does it come from? One of the places it comes from is from really well-intended adults in our lives. So as a kid, how many times were you parented in a way that put you on a pedestal that said, oh, you're so beautiful, or oh, you're so this, that. Oh, look at your cute shape. Oh, look how cute you are in that dress. We do it to kids all the time, little girls especially, even from age like 1 years old, 2 years old. Oh, look how beautiful and cute you look in that dress. And you get attention for how cute you are. You get attention for your body. And so these well-meaning adults don't mean to objectify these little kids. Yet here we are growing up with attention from our physical bodies, from being cute. And as we grow up, what I've noticed, and that is definitely my story. I had very loving parents, and they always kind of were just praising me for how smart I was, and praising me for how cute I was, and praising me for when my body developed. Oh, look at your cute figure. And they did it well-meaning. But what we're learning about parenting right now is that the best way to parent is to be very neutral. Not to put down, not to raise up, just like, oh, well, what do you think about that? How do you feel about that? I noticed that you like wearing red, things like that. But when we are doing this extra praising to show love, it's kind of backfiring a little bit, and it creates shame. Because what happens, and what happened to me is that when you feel your worthiness is wrapped up in your body, and you were given a lot of different messages from that, when your body starts to change or shift from that idyllic space that was talked about a lot or appreciated, there is a stress response. There's a shame. Oh my gosh, I'm not living up to. I'm not worthy. I'm not thin enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not enough. And why does this happen? Why does this mental process happen? Well, somewhere along the line, we didn't feel enough. And so when we got praised for our bodies on some level, we're like, oh, well, that's a way to get loved. That's a way to get this attention. That's a way. Now, another thing that I have in my past that's kind of interesting is that I also had an eating disorder. I had an eating disorder because if I stayed, oh my God, it's just really coming to me now. Wow, I really love this tribe because sometimes as I talk about a certain topic, I get awareness, and I just got a huge moment of awareness around shame and around my body. Wow, okay. So where we got pedestaled and appreciated and praised, that is a fixed timeline in our reality. It's a fixed point of view. It's a fixed form and structure. It's a fixed point. And when I was a little girl, I was praised in that way. And so an eating disorder is a way to control the forces that are developing me as a woman. And I'm getting bigger, right? I'm getting more developed. What did I do in my teens when things started to really develop? I started having an eating disorder. I would try to negate it all, okay? I wanted to just be a perpetual little girl where everything was safe and joyful and, where I got praised the most. So that's interesting. That just kind of came to me. So we have to take a look at those fixed points and see, and kind of unwrap them, kind of untie them, and see our self-worth and see that we are lovable, not from just our physical form. And that love has to come from self first. Because if we're reaching for identification if we're reaching for who am I? Am I lovable out here before we love here? Then we're going to think all our worth and all our love is here. And we're never going to be able to be good enough to have that love because life is ever changing. Our bodies are ever changing. So fast forward, I've gotten over my eating disorder, but now I have all this body shame that I'm doing to myself because I'm still living that fixed point of view that if you're not this thin little girl image, you're not lovable. And here I am, a 49-year-old woman. I'm developing even more, like I'm blossoming, if you will, with curves. And bless my husband, he is a voice of reason for me here. But it's hard. It's hard letting go of this little vibrational pattern. And, you know, I'm someone that's a pretty awake person. I'm someone that has done a ton of personal growth. Yet here I am at 49 and I'm working through this little subconscious nugget, all right, where it's a nugget of self-worth and lack of self-worth and shame and all this stuff. And I'm looking at where it comes from. And it really has come from a lot of well-intentioned adults in my life. And somehow I felt like that was the only way to be loved. And I don't know exactly why or how. And I don't think I have to go back that far to figure that out. Because right now, as an adult, I get to choose a different vibration. So there is bodies of work in the psychological ring, right? So if you want to play in the psychological ring, you would play in going way back, right? Psychotherapy, unwrapping that nugget, kind of reliving that a little bit, elevating, talking about it. But in the vibrational world, when we're kind of in the spirituality ring and this oneness ring, we get to work with it vibrationally. So what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know, and I don't know if we need to know, because here we are in this moment in time, in this present moment, and if we can work with it from a vibrational reality, we don't have to kind of go unwrap everything. And I feel like it's a way easier way of dealing with things if you feel like it. Because if you are really into psychology and having those roots, it may be more beneficial to go work with them in the psychological roots. I have a video that I made on these concentric circles and talking about emotional passing and shame. So sometimes when we're in that psychological circle, we kind of have to play with the rules of that game. And sometimes if you hear the word, well, we're going to choose something different, it can be kind of triggering. Or you'd be like, how do I just choose something different? Well, you're in the psychological ring. And if you want to keep playing there, you got to follow the psychological rules and kind of go untie everything and go back. But if you're like, I've done that and it didn't really work for me, or I wanted different results, go outside the next ring and come into the spirituality ring or the oneness ring. And this is where shifting vibrations can really work. So when I go into the body shame that I have over my blossoming perimenopausal body, when I go into that shame, it feels like a nugget. It feels like a hard piece of coal to me. And so it's kind of a cool tool to just go in and see what shape does it feel like. What does that shame feel like? What is that shame? What color is it? What temperature? What texture? All right. Does it have a message for you? And so when I tune into that shame, it's just like a little nugget of coal. It really hardens me, and it's very deep. And it's very deep. When I feel into it, it probably came in with part of this shame, living the shame, which makes sense because vibration attracts vibration. So like attracts like. So I probably got parented in a way that kind of matches that vibration that I probably needed to work through in this lifetime, maybe. Who knows? Who knows? And who cares? Because right now, I have a moment in this time and in this present moment to change it. So here's my shame, and I get to tune into it. Now, I love working with sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to meet this shame with sound. And then I'm going to meet this shame with the sound of a love vibe. I'm going to love and light. So we can start to have these two frequencies in our voice by just intending it, okay? And I'm basically going to talk to this shame, right? This dense rock type of feeling thing. I'm going to basically talk to this shame through toning with my voice and through the frequencies that come through. And I'm just going to unravel it a little bit and dissolve it frequency wise. And so that can be done. All right. There's many experiments and experiences people have had with using their sound and voice and other types of sound to dissolve disease processes, certain emotional or mental conditions. The vibration of your own voice is very potent, matched with your intention. Super powerful. So, so in this video, we're learning that shame can come from well-intended adults, and we also are learning that you can work with it from a psychological perspective, or you can go to the outer rings and work with it from a vibrational perspective. And that's what I have a lot of fun with. I've actually worked the psychological perspective back in my 20s. I had tons of therapy, and it was helpful. And so again, it's neither here nor there. It's just wherever you feel the flow. So working it from a psychological perspective can be helpful, and that might be where you are. And you can work from it vibrationally. Can you use both tactics? Sometimes if you have an open mind to work with the flow, okay? But in the outer realms, there is choice and possibility. And sometimes when someone says, just make a choice to shift in the psychological realm, some people would think that's cruel or finger pointing or bypassing, so there's a lot of psychological terms that someone could talk about if you use some of the terminology that we use out here in the vibrational realm. So the thing is, guys, the way I see it, everything's a vibration, and everything really is a creation from what we are vibrating. So if I have shame, I get to choose something different now. I really believe that. I really get to choose something different than shame. So the cool part is, as we start to shift shame with voice and vibration, we start to shift the point of focus and attraction. So we no longer will have shame situations come our way. We won't have body shamers coming at our way. We won't have certain things. So like attracts like. And so as you raise your vibration, you'll be able to really create something different for yourself that feels way better. So tune in. If you're watching this and you have shame and you'd like to work with it from a vibrational level, I want you to tune in to the energy of your shame. And if it was located on a certain part of your body, where would it be? And if you found that body part or in the field, go there and notice if it has a shape. Then notice if it has a color. Okay? And then just be with it. Feel it. All right, feel the energy of it. Does it have a texture? Does it have a temperature? And then just be with it. And make the intention to sound out its sound. Okay? The sound of the shame. And make that sound. Now, once you play with that for a little while, then you make the sound of your light and love within you. So tune into the God spark, no matter how small it feels, expand it out as big as your body, and intend to sound out love and light to this body of shame. So what you did is you talk to it in its language, then you're showing it a different language, and you are entraining the shame to the light and love. Or tuning an instrument. Think about that. You're tuning your body to light and love, and the shame has to come up to meet it. Now you might say, well, what sounds do I use? You can use any sound. You can use ooh, ah, you can go like really whatever comes through, use. But if you really would like to have something, just use ooh. Okay, ooh. So use ooh, and as you're talking to the shame, and use ooh, ooh as you're entraining it to a higher frequency, and from there, play. Okay, and then you start playing, and you start to notice that the shame nugget starts to dissolve, and allow it to dissolve, along with all the energetics that are kind of having the tentacles on to your life and those stories and stuff. You can keep the memories if you want, but what we want to unhook from is the electromagnetic energy from the shame that is really sabotaging our joy. All right, so I don't know if that was long-winded or confusing, but let me know in the comments how this was. I kind of did this a little differently off the cuff today, and let me know how this was for you. And yeah, we all have our stories, and that was my story about shame. And let me know in the comments what yours are. And thanks for being here. Thanks so much for being here. I hope this video is a contribution to your life and to your joy. And have a beautiful day. Thanks for being in the tribe. Namaste.